He sat there in that airport lounge, Amy's head on his shoulder, staring at the departure board like he'd already gotten away with it. Tyler thought the frame was perfect. He thought draining my accounts and pinning $3 million of theft on me meant I'd be dead before sunrise. He even kissed her while my hospital badge was still warm from my last shift. But Tyler forgot one crucial detail about the man whose money he stole. Specifically, who that man spent 5 years searching for. When those glass doors to Mason Hong's office swung open, and I was shoved inside, the smirk didn't just vanish from my memory of Tyler's face. My entire future shattered in that moment. You are about to witness how a single act of mercy collided with a mafia boss's revenge. The air inside that downtown Los Angeles high-rise was cold. Too cold. It smelled like leather and something metallic I couldn't place. For Tyler Newman, 30,000 feet above us, on a plane to Cancun, the air probably smelled like champagne and freedom. I was zip-tied to a chair, my trauma surgeon scrub still damp with someone else's blood from the ER. My wrists burned. I couldn't feel my fingers. Across from me sat a man I couldn't see clearly. Just a silhouette against floor-to-ceiling windows, the LA skyline glittering behind him like broken glass. He slid a folder across the desk. His voice was quiet, controlled, terrifying. Dr. Sullivan, you stole $3.2 million from me. I want to know why. My throat closed. I didn't steal anything. I didn't even know who this man was. I opened my mouth to say so, but nothing came out. Behind him, 2 enforcers stood with their arms crossed. One of them had a dragon tattoo crawling up his neck. The other cracked his knuckles. This was it. This was how I died. Because of a man I trusted. Because of a wedding that was never real. The man leaned forward into the light, and time stopped. Before we continue, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, or you may not come across my channel again. Now, let's continue. I didn't see them coming. That's the thing about working a 14-hour shift in trauma surgery. Your brain shuts off the moment you clock out. You stop looking for danger. You stop being careful. I was thinking about wedding cake, buttercream or fondant. That was my biggest problem at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Tyler and I had a tasting appointment tomorrow at that bakery in Silver Lake. The one with the lavender vanilla everyone raved about. 3 weeks. That's all we had left until the wedding. My feet ached. My scrubs smelled like antiseptic and someone else's blood. I'd saved 3 lives today. A car accident victim, a stabbing, a kid who fell off a roof. I was a good doctor. I saved people. I reached for my car keys. That's when I heard the doors open behind me. A black SUV. Tinted windows. 3 men stepping out in perfect sync like they'd done this before. My stomach dropped. I ran. God. I ran as fast as I could. My sneakers squeaked on the concrete. I fumbled for my phone. Dropped it. The screen shattered against the ground. They were faster. A hand clamped over my mouth from behind. Strong. Crushing. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Just a muffled sound that died in my throat. Then I smelled it. Chemicals. Sweet and wrong. A cloth pressed against my nose and mouth. I thrashed. I kicked backward. My elbow connected with something solid, but it didn't matter. The parking garage started spinning. My legs went numb. And then everything went black. When I woke up, I couldn't move. My wrists were bound behind me. Zip ties, cutting into my skin. My head pounded like someone had split it open with an axe. I blinked hard. Tried to focus. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The LA skyline at night. Lights everywhere, stretching out like a glowing circuit board. We were high up, really high up. I was in an office, expensive, cold, leather chairs, a massive desk made of dark wood, and sitting across from me, half hidden in shadow, was a man. He didn't say anything at first, just watched me, studied me like I was a problem he needed to solve. Then he moved. He slid a folder across the desk, slow, deliberate. His voice was quiet, controlled, but I heard the rage underneath it. Dr. Sullivan. My blood turned to ice. He knew my name. You stole $3.2 million from me. What? No, that's not possible. I didn't steal anything. I'm a doctor. I save lives. I don't. I want to know why. I opened my mouth to tell him he was wrong, that this was a mistake, that I had no idea what he was talking about. But before I could speak, he leaned forward into the light, and I saw his face, the dragon tattoo on his neck, the scar above his left eyebrow. The eyes I thought I'd never see again. Boston. 5 years ago. The man bleeding out in the alley. The man I saved. I didn't steal anything. My voice came out shaking. Broken. But I had to say it. I'm a doctor. I save lives. I don't even know what cryptocurrency is. The man didn't move. Just stared at me from the shadows like he was deciding how much pain I could handle before I broke. Offshore accounts? I kept going, my words tumbling out faster. I don't have offshore accounts. I have student loans. I have a checking account with $1,700 in it. That's it. Nothing. He leaned back in his chair. Silent. Calculating. Then he raised one hand. Just slightly. A signal. The enforcer behind me stepped forward. I heard the crack of knuckles. Felt his presence like a wall of violence closing in. This was it. They were going to hurt me. Torture me. Kill me. For something I didn't do. Please, I whispered. Please, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know anything about. The man leaned forward, and the light from the windows hit his face. I stopped breathing. His eyes locked on mine. Dark, intense, searching. He froze. I watched his entire body go rigid, like someone had just electrocuted him. His jaw clenched. His hand gripped the edge of the desk so hard his knuckles turned white. He stared at me like he'd seen a ghost. No, he whispered. So quiet I almost didn't hear it. Then louder. No, it can't be. He stood up fast. His chair scraped against the floor. He moved around the desk toward me, and I flinched back, expecting a blow. But he stopped, just stood there, staring. His eyes moved across my face. My eyes. My mouth. The small scar on my left temple from when I fell off my bike as a kid. Boston, he said. His voice cracked. 2020. Commonwealth Avenue. My heart stopped. Oh my God. You found me bleeding in an alley. I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. My entire body went cold. The dragon tattoo on his shoulder. The bullet wound I'd stitched up with a first aid kit and dental floss because he begged me not to call 911. The man who disappeared before sunrise. You told me not to call the police, I whispered. His eyes closed. Like he was in pain. Like seeing me hurt him. When he opened them again, they were wet. It's you. He turned to his men. His voice came out sharp, commanding. Out. Everyone out. Now. They didn't move at first. Just stared at him like he'd lost his mind. I said get out. They scattered. The door slammed behind them. We were alone. Mason Hong because that's who he was, I realized. The man they called the Reaper in the LA underworld walked toward me slowly. His hands were shaking. He knelt down in front of me, pulled a knife from his pocket. I jerked back. I'm not going to hurt you, he said quietly. He cut the zip ties. They fell away from my wrists. Blood rushed back into my hands. It hurt so bad I gasped. He caught my wrists gently, steadied them. His hands were trembling. 5 years, he whispered. I've been looking for you for 5 years. I stared at him. At this dangerous man, this criminal, this person I'd saved without knowing what he'd become. Why? I breathed. He looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something other than violence in his eyes. I saw need. Because you're the only person who ever saw me as human. And that's when I realized I wasn't his prisoner anymore. I was something far more dangerous. I was the woman Mason Hong owed his life to. Mason stood up, pulled out his phone, made a call. Nathan, my office, now. He hung up. Looked at me. We're going to figure out who did this to you. 10 minutes later, the door opened. A man walked in, mid-30s, glasses. He carried a laptop under one arm and moved like someone who spent more time with computers than people. Nathan Hill, Mason said. Best forensic accountant in California. He finds things other people miss. Nathan nodded at me. No judgment in his eyes, just curiosity. He sat down at the desk, opened his laptop. Mason handed him the folder with all the evidence against me. Walk us through it, Mason said. Every detail. I sat there, my wrists still throbbing, watching Nathan's fingers fly across the keyboard. He pulled up the emails first. The ones supposedly sent from my hospital account. These are clean, Nathan said. Too clean. Mason leaned forward. What do you mean? Look at the spelling. The grammar. Perfect punctuation. No typos. Nathan turned to me. Dr. Sullivan, how do you spell Receive. I blinked. Receeve. He smiled. Exactly. You spell it wrong. Most people do. But look. He pointed at the screen. Every email in this thread spells it correctly. Receive. Received. Receiving. All perfect. My heart started pounding. Someone created these emails, Nathan continued. Someone who wanted them to look like you wrote them, but they didn't know your patterns. Mason's jaw tightened. What else? Nathan pulled up the wire transfer records. Timestamps. Dates. These transactions happened between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on October 3rd, 8th, and 15th. He looked at me. Where were you on those days during those hours? Working, I said immediately. I work Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Those are trauma rotation days. Can you prove it? Hospital badge logs. They track everything. Every door we go through. Every room. Nathan's fingers moved fast. He pulled up the hospital's security database. I have no idea how he got access to that. Within 2 minutes, he had my badge records on screen. October 3rd, 2:17 p.m. Operating room 3. Badge scan. He kept scrolling. October 3rd, 4:42 p.m. or 3. Exit scan. He looked up at Mason. She was in surgery when the first transfer happened. 2.5 hours. Continuous. Mason stood perfectly still. But I saw his hands curl into fists. Check the others, he said quietly. Nathan did. Same thing. Every time money moved, I was in an operating room, saving someone's life. There's more, Nathan said. He pulled up the laptop metadata. The transfers were initiated remotely. Someone accessed the system from an external IP address. Where? Mason's voice was ice. A Starbucks on Wilshire Boulevard. Mason walked to the window, stared out at the city. Pull the employment records for Tyler Newman. Tyler. My fiancé. Nathan typed fast. Pulled up files. Then he stopped. His face went pale. What? Mason turned around. Tyler Newman, age 31. Hired 14 months ago as a junior accountant for Hong Financial Holdings. The room went silent. Tyler worked for Mason. He handles cryptocurrency conversions, Nathan continued, his voice tight. He has access to the wallets, the passwords, everything. Mason's face didn't move, but his eyes went dead, cold. The firm Tyler told me he worked for, I whispered. Ashford and Associates. Is it real? Nathan searched. Shook his head. Doesn't exist. Never existed. My stomach dropped. Everything Tyler ever told me was a lie. Mason turned to Nathan. His voice was barely above a whisper, but it was the most terrifying sound I'd ever heard. Tyler Newman knew exactly how to frame her. He knew I'd kill first and ask questions later. He looked at me. He used you as bait, and he used me as the weapon. I couldn't breathe. Where is he now? Mason asked. Nathan typed, pulled up flight records. Flight 447 to Cancun, departed LAX 2 hours ago. Mason smiled. It was the kind of smile that promised violence. Get him back. Tyler Newman had never felt more alive. The plane touched down in Cancun at 11:47 p.m. Warm air, salt smell, freedom. He grabbed Amy's hand as they walked through the airport. 2 carry-on bags, fake passports, $3.2 million waiting in an offshore account. We did it, Amy whispered, squeezing his fingers. Tyler grinned. I told you it would work. They took a cab to the resort. 5-star. Oceanfront. The kind of place Lori could never afford on a doctor's salary. The irony was delicious. They checked in under false names. Mr. and Mrs. David Chen. The clerk didn't even blink, just handed them key cards and pointed toward the elevators. Room 847. Top floor. Corner suite. Tyler opened the door, and Amy gasped. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A balcony overlooking the ocean. A king bed with white sheets. A bottle of champagne on ice waiting for them. This is incredible, Amy breathed. Tyler popped the champagne, poured 2 glasses. They walked out onto the balcony. The moon hung low over the water. Waves crashed against the beach. Music drifted up from the pool bar below. Tyler raised his glass. To new beginnings. Amy clinked hers against his, took a long drink, then she looked at him. Do you feel bad? Even a little? About what? Lori. Tyler laughed. Actually laughed. Lori was a mark, Amy. That's all she ever was. Amy smiled, took another sip. I know, but I thought you might feel guilty, even for a second. Why would I feel guilty? She was easy, trusting, pathetic. Amy leaned against the railing. The alcohol was hitting her now, making her bold. I liked watching her trust me, she said quietly. Every time we had coffee, every time she asked my advice about the wedding, every time she told me how lucky she was to have me as a friend. She turned to Tyler. Her eyes were bright, excited. I was planning her destruction the whole time, and she had no idea. Tyler pulled her close, kissed her hard. That's why I love you. They went inside, fell into bed, slept like people who'd gotten away with murder. What they didn't notice, the couple checking into room 848, the one right next door, speaking quietly in Korean. The housekeeping staff on their floor, 3 of them, standing in the hallway, never leaving, never moving. The black SUVs in the parking lot, 4 of them. Engines running. Tyler woke up to his burner phone ringing. 6:23 a.m. He grabbed it off the nightstand, squinted at the screen. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something told him to pick up. Hello? The voice on the other end was calm, quiet, terrifying. Room 847. Tyler's blood turned to ice. Who is this? Don't run, Tyler. You'll only die tired. He knew that voice. No, that's impossible. Mason? Look out your window. Tyler stumbled to the balcony, looked down. His legs nearly gave out. The resort was surrounded. Black SUVs blocking every exit. Men in dark clothing stationed at every door. More men on the beach, in the parking lot, by the pool. Mason's voice came through the phone again. You thought you could steal from me. Frame an innocent woman and fly away to paradise. Tyler couldn't breathe. You were wrong. The line went dead. Amy sat up in bed, rubbing her eyes. Tyler? What's going on? He turned to her, his face white, his hands shaking. We're dead. They brought Tyler and Amy back to Los Angeles on Mason's private plane. Separated, handcuffed, told that the other one had already confessed. It's an old trick, but it works every time. I insisted on being there when they questioned Tyler. Mason didn't want me to. He said I didn't need to hear it, that it would hurt too much. But I needed the truth. All of it. So I sat in that same chair where I'd been tied up the night before. Only this time, I wasn't a prisoner. This time, I was a witness. Tyler was shoved into the room by 2 of Mason's men. His hands were cuffed behind his back. His expensive shirt was wrinkled, his hair messed up. He looked small, pathetic. Mason sat across from him, calm, silent. Amy already told us everything, Mason said quietly. So this is your chance to tell your side. Tyler's eyes went wide. Amy talked? She sang like a bird. That was a lie. They hadn't questioned Amy yet. But Tyler didn't know that. He broke. Okay, fine. I'll tell you. And he did. All of it. I met Lori at a hospital fundraiser 8 months ago. She was perfect, successful, stable, no family to ask questions, and she was so easy to manipulate. I felt sick. I courted her, made her fall in love with me, proposed. But when I tried to access her accounts, she had everything locked down, separate finances, a prenup her lawyer insisted on. He laughed bitterly. She was smarter than I thought. So you decided to steal from me instead, Mason said. Tyler nodded. You were arrogant. You trusted your people too much. I had access to everything. The wallets, the passwords, the accounts, and you framed her. I needed a scapegoat, someone you'd kill before asking questions. Lori was perfect. Mason's jaw clenched, but his voice stayed calm. Where's the money? Tyler gave him the account numbers. Everything. Then Mason had him taken out. They brought Amy in next. She was crying, mascara running down her face, playing the victim. I didn't want to do it, she sobbed. Tyler made me. He threatened me. I was scared. Mason didn't buy it for a second. Tell me about Bali. Amy's face went white. What? Lori's honeymoon. Tell me about Tyler's plan. Amy's mouth opened, closed. She knew she was caught. He was going to kill her, she whispered finally. Make it look like a drowning accident. He had a life insurance policy on her. $2 million. The room spun. $2 million. He was going to drown me in the ocean and collect a check. The wedding was never real, Amy continued, her voice breaking. None of it was real. He picked the honeymoon location specifically. A remote beach, no witnesses, easy to stage. I couldn't breathe. Mason stood up, walked to the window. His hands were shaking. He wanted to kill them both. I could see it. They brought Tyler back in. This time, I was standing. The moment Tyler saw me, his face went gray. Lori. His voice cracked. Oh God. Lori, you're alive. Surprised? I said coldly. He lunged forward. The guards held him back. Lori, please. I'm sorry. I'll give the money back. All of it. I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. Just please. You were going to kill me. He froze. In Bali, on our honeymoon, you were going to drown me. Tears ran down his face. I wasn't going to go through with it. I swear. I was just... You took out a life insurance policy on me. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Mason turned from the window, looked at me. What do you want me to do with him, Lori? Tyler's eyes went wide. Lori, please, please, I love you. I made a mistake. You never loved me, I said quietly. I was just a mark. I turned to Mason, and I made my choice. I walked toward Tyler, slow, steady. The guards held him in place, but he wasn't struggling anymore, just staring at me with those desperate, pleading eyes, the same eyes that told me he loved me, that promised me forever, that looked at wedding venues with me. All lies. I stopped right in front of him. Lori, he whispered, please. I looked at him, really looked at him, searched for any feeling inside myself. Anger, betrayal, hurt, but there was nothing, just emptiness. I don't feel anything when I look at you, I said quietly. Not even hate. You're just nothing to me now. His face crumpled. I turned to Mason. He should face legal justice, a trial, prison. Not, I gestured vaguely, not whatever happens in your world. Mason's expression didn't change, but I saw something flicker in his eyes. Respect, maybe. In my world, he said carefully, betrayal has permanent consequences. I know, but I'm asking you to do it differently. For me. Mason was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Tyler will be turned over to the FBI, with a full confession. All the evidence. Everything. Tyler's shoulders sagged with relief. But first, Mason continued, his voice dropping to something dangerous. He needs to understand the cost of his choices. Mason looked at his men. Take him downstairs. Make sure he understands. Tyler's eyes went wide. Wait, what does that mean? What are you? They dragged him out. His screams echoed down the hallway until a door slammed shut. I closed my eyes, tried not to imagine what was happening. Amy was brought in next, still crying, still playing victim. Lori, she sobbed when she saw me. Thank God. Please, you have to help me. Tyler forced me into this. He threatened me. I didn't want to hurt you. You're my best friend. Stop. My voice cut through her tears like a knife. You enjoyed it. You told Tyler you enjoyed watching me trust you while you planned my destruction. Amy's face went pale. Who told you that? Tyler. He confessed everything. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried a different approach. Lori, please. We've been friends for 2 years. That has to mean something. We were never friends. You were part of a plan to kill me. Amy's tears stopped. Just like that. Her face went cold. You think you're better than me? She hissed. You think because you're a doctor, because you save lives, that you're special? Get her out of here, I said to Mason. His enforcer grabbed Amy's arm, started pulling her toward the door. You're not special, Lori, Amy screamed. You're just lucky. Lucky that your stupid act of kindness 5 years ago. The door slammed. Silence. Mason and I stood alone in his office. The city lights glittered behind him. Beautiful. Dangerous. Like him. You should go, Mason said quietly. Back to your life. Your hospital. Pretend this never happened. Is that what you want? It's what's safe. I stepped closer. I didn't ask what's safe. I asked what you want. Mason looked at me. Really looked at me. I can give you a new identity. New city. New life. You'd be free of all of this. Free of me. What if I don't want to be free of you? He stopped breathing. I took an oath. I continued. To do no harm. To save lives. And you, I gestured around the office. You're a crime lord. You hurt people. You run an empire built on violence. I know what I am, but I also know what you were. In that alley in Boston, bleeding out, scared, human. Mason's jaw tightened. I want to understand who you became after I saved you. I want to know why. Lori, I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to let me in. Mason stared at me like I'd just offered him something impossible, something he didn't deserve. Why? He whispered. Because 5 years ago, you told me something. Right before you disappeared. He waited. You said, "Thank you for seeing me." Not for saving me, for seeing me. His eyes closed. I saw you then, Mason. And I see you now. When he opened his eyes again, they were wet. You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. Mason poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one, kept the other. We sat on the leather couch by the window. The city stretched out below us like a living thing. I was born in Seoul, he started. His voice was quiet, distant. My parents brought me to Los Angeles when I was 8. They wanted a better life. The American dream. He took a drink. I was 12 when they were killed. Gang war. Wrong place, wrong time. A bullet meant for someone else. I didn't say anything. Just listened. I had no family, no money, no way to survive except to become something the streets couldn't break. His hand tightened around the glass. So, I got smarter, faster, more ruthless than everyone else. I learned how to move money, how to make people afraid, how to build power from nothing. And Boston? I asked softly. A deal that went wrong. I was meeting someone about expanding operations on the East Coast, but it was a trap, an ambush. He looked at me. I got hit in the shoulder, ran, made it 3 blocks before I collapsed in that alley off Commonwealth Avenue. I remembered. The blood. So much blood. I thought I was dead, Mason continued. I'd accepted it. Closed my eyes. Waited. And then I showed up. He nodded. You knelt down next to me. Didn't scream. Didn't run. Just asked if I could hear you. You told me not to call the police. And you didn't. You could have. Should have. But you didn't. Mason set down his glass. Turned to face me fully. For 5 days. You let me hide in your apartment. You stitched me up with a first aid kit and dental floss. You gave me food, water, a place to sleep. You never told me your name, I said. Never told me what happened. I figured if you wanted me to know, you'd tell me. You never asked. That's what made you different. His voice cracked. You didn't see a criminal. You didn't see a monster. You just saw someone who needed help. You were bleeding out in an alley. Of course I helped. Most people would have walked away. I shrugged. I'm a doctor. I took an oath. It wasn't about the oath, Lori. It was about you. Mason reached out, stopped just before touching my hand. You treated me like I was human, like I mattered, like my life had value. It did. It does. No one had ever... He stopped, took a breath. In my world, people fear me, respect me, obey me, but no one sees me. I turned my hand over. Let him take it. I thought about you sometimes, I admitted. Wondered if you made it, if you were okay, if you found peace. Mason laughed bitterly. I never found peace. I built an empire, made millions, became the most feared man in Los Angeles. He looked at our hands, but I never stopped looking for you. I had people searching, investigators. I had your first name and a description. That's all. But I looked anyway. Why? Because you gave me something I'd never had before. What? Hope that I could be more than what I became. My throat tightened. And now? I whispered. Now that you found me? Mason lifted his eyes to mine. They were raw, vulnerable. Now I don't know what to do. Because you deserve someone safe, someone good, someone who doesn't have blood on his hands. That's not your choice to make, Lori. But I need something from you. He waited. If we're going to explore whatever this is, I gestured between us. You have to prove you're capable of more than violence. How? I don't know yet. But I need to see it. Mason was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. I'll try. That's all I'm asking. I stood up. Started toward the door. Where are you going? Mason asked. Back to the hospital. I have a shift in 6 hours. Lori. I turned around. I'm not running away, Mason. I just need time to process everything. He stood up too. Walked toward me slowly. Can I see you again? I smiled. Small, careful. Yeah, you can see me again. Relief flooded his face. I reached for the door handle. Stopped. Mason? Yeah? What happened to Tyler downstairs? His expression went dark. He learned that actions have consequences. Is he alive? Yes. Good. I opened the door. Started to leave. Lori. I looked back one more time. Mason stood there in his expensive suit, in his glass tower overlooking the city he controlled, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. Thank you, he said quietly, for seeing me again. I nodded and walked out. But as I rode the elevator down, my hands were shaking, because I'd just made a choice that would change everything. I'd just chosen to stay in Mason Hong's world. 2 weeks later, the FBI got a call. A shipping container at the port of Long Beach. Someone heard screaming. When they opened it, they found Tyler Newman. Alive. Barely. Dehydrated. Bruised. Terrified. But alive. And sitting next to him, $3.2 million in cash. Neatly stacked, counted. A signed confession, 12 pages, handwritten, and a laptop containing every piece of evidence they needed. Tyler told the FBI he'd been kidnapped, tortured, forced to confess to crimes he didn't commit. But the medical exams told a different story. No signs of torture. No broken bones. No burns. Just bruises consistent with being restrained. The confession was analyzed by handwriting experts. Genuine. No signs of forgery or coercion. And the laptop? Tyler's laptop. His fingerprints all over it. His passwords. His search history. Everything was there. The fake emails he created, using Lori's hospital account. The wire transfer instructions. The offshore bank accounts. The life insurance policy he took out on me 3 months ago. The travel itinerary to Bali. Even messages between him and Amy planning my murder. Make it look like an accident. Drowning is cleanest. The FBI didn't believe Tyler's kidnapping story for a second. Federal prosecutors moved fast. 14 felony charges. Conspiracy to commit murder. Embezzlement. Wire fraud. Identity theft. Money laundering. Insurance fraud. The list went on. Tyler's lawyer tried to argue coercion. Claimed Tyler was forced to confess by criminals. But the evidence was too clean. Too perfect. The judge wasn't buying it. Amy Marshall was arrested separately. She tried to run. Made it as far as Arizona before they caught her. When they brought her in, she broke immediately. Took a plea deal. Agreed to testify against Tyler in exchange for a reduced sentence. She told them everything. The plan. The timeline. The life insurance policy. The honeymoon murder plot. She even admitted her own role. How she helped Tyler access my laptop. How she planted fake evidence in my apartment. How she enjoyed watching me trust her. The prosecutors offered her 8 years. She took it. Tyler's trial lasted 3 weeks. I went to the sentencing. I sat in the back of the courtroom. Hands folded in my lap. Heart pounding. Tyler was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit. Hands cuffed. Ankles shackled. He looked smaller than I remembered. Broken. When his eyes found mine across the courtroom, he flinched. The judge read the verdict. Guilty on all 14 counts. Tyler's lawyer stood up. Asked for leniency. Claimed Tyler had no prior record. Claimed he'd been influenced by bad people. The judge wasn't interested. Mr. Newman, you planned to murder an innocent woman for financial gain. You framed her for crimes she didn't commit. You betrayed everyone who trusted you. The judge leaned forward. You showed no remorse, no humanity, no conscience. Tyler started crying. 25 years, federal prison, no parole. The gavel slammed down. Guards grabbed Tyler's arms, started pulling him toward the side door. He looked back at me one last time. Lori. I said nothing, just watched. They dragged him out. The door closed behind him. I walked out of the courthouse into the California sun. People rushed past me. Traffic roared. The city moved on like nothing happened. I thought I'd feel something. Satisfaction. Victory. Closure. But all I felt was relief. It was over. Tyler was gone. Amy was gone. The threat was gone. I could breathe again. A black car pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down. Mason sat in the back seat. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded. Yeah, I think I am. Need a ride? I looked at the car. At him. At the choice in front of me. I could walk away. Go back to my normal life. Pretend none of this happened. Or I could get in. I opened the door. Slid into the seat next to him. Mason's hand found mine. "Where to?" the driver asked. Mason looked at me. "Your choice." I smiled. "Somewhere far from courtrooms and hospitals. Just for today." The car pulled away from the curb. And for the first time in 2 weeks, I felt something other than fear. I felt hope. But in the back of my mind, a question lingered. Could a doctor and a crime lord really find something real? Or was I just trading one dangerous situation for another? 3 months passed. I went back to work at the hospital, back to my trauma rotation, back to saving lives. But everything felt different. I was more careful now, more aware. I didn't trust as easily. Didn't believe people at face value anymore. Tyler had broken something in me, but he'd also made me stronger. I knew my own worth now. Knew I could survive things I never thought possible. Mason kept his distance. He never showed up at the hospital, never called unexpectedly, never pushed, but I felt his presence everywhere. Hospital security got upgraded. New cameras, better lighting in the parking garage. A driver appeared whenever I worked late shifts. No explanation, just a car waiting. And every Friday, flowers arrived at my apartment. Beautiful, expensive, no note. He was protecting me. From a distance, giving me space to heal, to decide what I wanted. Tonight, I made my choice. I stood in Mason's penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights spread out below like stars. Mason stood next to me, close but not touching, waiting. "I've been thinking," I said quietly. About you, about me, about what this is." He turned to look at me. His face was careful, guarded, and I took a breath. "I'm not naive, Mason. I know who you are, what you do, the blood on your hands, the violence in your world." His jaw tightened. "But I also know you're capable of more than that. I've seen your mercy, your loyalty, I hesitated, your capacity to care about someone. Lori, let me finish." He nodded. "I can't ask you to leave your world. It's who you are, how you survived, what you built." Mason's eyes darkened, like he knew what was coming, like he was preparing for me to walk away. "But you can't ask me to leave mine either. I'm a doctor. I save lives. That's not something I can give up. I wouldn't ask you to. So here's what I'm proposing." I turned to face him fully. "We meet in the middle, on our own terms. You do what you do, I do what I do, and we see if two people from completely opposite worlds can find something real." Mason stared at me, silent. "I won't ask questions about your business. You won't ask me to compromise my oath. We keep our worlds separate. But I gestured between us. "We try this. You're willing to be with someone like me? I'm willing to be with you. Not someone like you. You, Mason Hong, the man who bled out in a Boston alley, the man who spent 5 years looking for me, the man who showed me mercy when he could have shown violence." His hand came up slowly, touched my face. "You could have anyone, Lori. Someone safe, someone good." "I don't want safe. I don't want good. I want real. This won't be easy. I know. People will judge you, question your choices, wonder what you're doing with someone like me. Let them wonder." Mason smiled, actually smiled. It was small, genuine, the first real smile I'd ever seen from him. "You're sure about this?" "No," I admitted, "but I'm sure I want to try." He pulled me close, wrapped his arms around me. I rested my head against his chest, heard his heartbeat, strong, steady. "Thank you," he whispered into my hair. "For what?" "For seeing me. Again." We stood there at the window, together, a crime lord and a trauma surgeon, a man built from violence and a woman dedicated to healing. Two people who should never have met, should never have connected. But we did, because 5 years ago, I made a choice. I saved a stranger's life without asking questions, and that single act of kindness changed everything. Below us, the city continued. Cars moving, people living, sirens wailing in the distance, violence and beauty existing side by side, just like us. Mason's hand found mine. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. I squeezed his fingers. "Now, we figure it out, one day at a time. No guarantees." No guarantees, I agreed. He looked into my eyes so intensely, I could see the love in his eyes. He leaned in to kiss me. I didn't hesitate. Our lips met, and everything else faded away. And in that moment, standing in his penthouse overlooking Los Angeles, I realized something. I'd been given a second chance. We both had. A chance to be more than our pasts, more than our circumstances, more than what the world expected from us. A chance to find something neither of us thought we deserved. Love. Real. Complicated. Dangerous. Beautiful love. And I was going to take it. Because life is short. And mercy is rare. And sometimes the most unexpected connections are the ones worth fighting for. Outside, the world kept turning. But inside, we'd found something that felt a lot like peace. Finally, if you enjoyed this story of betrayal, mercy, and a second chance forged in the shadows of power, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share this video with someone who believes kindness never comes back around, and subscribe so you never miss a new story. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the person you save without thinking is the one who will change your life forever.